Hey, it's Lydia from Warwick Street Kitchen. The video today is on our recommendations for buying specialty coffee for home. I appreciate that when you walk down the aisle now in even a supermarket, there's so many bags of coffee claiming to be specialty coffee or the best coffee that you can have at home. And in coffee shops, I appreciate that there's some, snobbery around it, and maybe you're a little bit scared to ask questions. I hope you don't. That's something that we're really trying to discourage here, but I appreciate that it still happens. So just trying to give you a quick guide, really, things to look out for, so you can guarantee that you're buying yourself some half decent coffee to be putting your brewing skills to work at home. So the first one, really quick explanation as to Arabica versus Robusta. You may have heard Arabica, Robusta, these phrases thrown around. In a nutshell, they are the two species of coffee that are for sale. Robusta is generally perceived as much lower in quality. It's a fact. Arabica makes up about 75 to 80% of the world's coffee production. Now, the reason being, Robusta is grown at much lower altitude, and the rule of thumb with coffee is the higher the altitude, the better the quality of coffee. Coffee reacts well to being really high up. You know, everything from humidity, climate, temperature, all of it is greatly improved by altitude, or the quality of coffee greatly improved by altitude. Robusta, therefore, is a lot cheaper, which is why you'll see a lot of, high street brands of coffee using a lot of Robusta. Now, for example, if you were to buy coffee from us, it does not say on the label that it's Arabica. It's generally just a given. If you're buying specialty coffee, you're buying Arabica. So something to keep an eye out for. Try not to buy Robusta is my personal recommendation. Something else to look for on the bag, origin. Where's it coming from? What country is it coming from? Now, there are two answers to this question really in terms of groups. It'll either fall under the single origin group or the blend group. Now, single origin just means it's from one place. Your coffee is coming from one country. So a blend is when your coffee comes from various different countries. People do this, or roasters do this, to achieve a certain flavour profile. They might want a certain coffee to taste a bit sweeter or a bit more chocolatey, so maybe they'll throw in a bit of Brazilian, because Brazilian has that flavour profile. So in my opinion, and a guideline from me is, first of all, is it telling you where it's from? It's a big telltale if the company is not telling you where it's from. What are you buying? Steer clear of that. But also, if a blend has more than 3 different coffees in it, what are they trying to hide? What are you achieving from that? It's just getting too confused. So if you are going to buy a blend, absolutely fine. Our current house espresso is a blend, actually. We generally try and stick to single origin, but at the moment we really fell in love with this blend, so we're serving that to you right now. If you are going to buy a blend, try and stick to 2-3 different coffees max in one. After that, I guess you could look into, or you should be looking into, who's the roaster? Is it a good roaster? Do they know what they're doing? So maybe do a little bit of research. That could potentially be bottom of the pile if you're buying somewhere like a supermarket. Just trying to give you some flags of some things that you should be looking for. A big one, roast date. When was it roasted? We talked before about bags of coffee sat on a shelf. How long's it been there before you even open it? Try and steer clear of the words best by or like a best before date on coffee, because obviously that's months and months and months in the future. Therefore, that provider, that roaster, that seller is trying to fool you. They're trying to make you think, oh, this has got months on it yet, so it must be fresh. Generally, you want to be sticking to 1 to 2 months. There's a lot of stigma. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of stigma around drinking coffee within a month of roast date. Fine, it's a really good standard to uphold, but I've tasted some really great coffee like 2 months off roast. It just starts to taste different. I've said this before. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. If you can just accept that the coffee's going to taste different 2 days after roast than it will a month and a half off roast, you could have a really exciting journey there of how that coffee changes and develops over time. So you want to know when it was roasted. Another thing to look out for, has this roaster or coffee seller given you any recommendations of how to brew it? Have they actually brewed this coffee themselves and thought, oh, you know what, it tastes good like this? Are they giving you some recipe recommendations? don't buy pre-ground. Don't ever buy pre-ground. We've talked before, go back and watch my video on extraction, and it will tell you why you should not, in more detail, be buying pre-ground coffee. It's just a waste of your money, hand on heart, 100% waste of your money. After that, I guess you'd be looking into flavour profiles and stuff if you really want to get deep into it. If you want to be exploring lots of different coffees at home, buying a few, comparing taste and stuff. And if you are adhering to my other recommendations about like water being filtered and like grind size and not buying pre-ground coffee and all the brew recommendations that we've made previously, then start looking into flavour profiles and see if you can discern them via different brew methods, or, you know, cupping 2 different coffees in front of you. Have some fun with it, you know. And then after that, you can start looking into coffee varietals. Sometimes a bag of coffee will even tell you what the varietal is. Now, the varietal is, so the easiest way to explain it is, in wine, a Merlot or a Chardonnay, that's the grape, right? So in coffee, a Bourbon or a Geisha, that's the plant that the coffees come from. The reason I say Geisha is that's when you start going into a real high-end specialty coffee. That is high-quality stuff. If you find a bag of Geisha at an affordable price, buy it. Go crazy, you'll have a great time. So hopefully that demystifies a little bit for you of the kind of things you should be looking for in a coffee bag. Most important stuff to take away: don't buy pre-ground. Don't buy something that has a best before or a used by date on it. Look for roast date being relatively recent. And yeah, just start to look at like where it's from, the country, who the roaster is, that kind of thing. Any questions, you know what to do. Put it in the comments below. Happy to answer them. Thank you very much. Bye.